All right, guys. It is December 31st, 2021. My name is Shannon, and welcome to the Texas Fly Fishing Report. It's been a long time, a lot going on behind the scenes. Let's get right to the chase here, and then we'll backtrack through, and I can tell you what's been going on. I know not many of you care about YouTube personalities, but we'll get back to that. I'm trying to keep my personality out of this and just talk about fly fishing in Texas. I've got to use my laptop. There's so much to say to round out the year. So let me get started. First, always magnifiers, of course, at my age, my youthful age. Locally, this past season, the summer, the season runs from about early May till October. There were a lot of carp, but they were spooky pretty much all season long, to the point where I've done some BOGOs for people who book trips, and they'll be going out with me again on the BOGO this coming 2022. Right now, locally though, let's just get all past the carp stuff. Locally, I was out on Texoma a few days ago, and I've got some friends who know a lot more about Texoma than I do, and we did catch stripers in the coves, which this time of year they do move up into the coves. And what I saw, and we saw on the graph, you got to have electronics basically, is that tons of bait fish in the coves. Water temperature 58 degrees, give or take 1 degree. As of today, we got a cold front coming. It's going to wipe everything out pretty quickly and change things drastically. But huge sand bass, nice sized stripers in the lake, in the coves. You got to use your electronics. And my number one thing that I would say about that is, if you find fish in these coves, fish to catch, don't leave to go anywhere else to find fish. Don't leave fish to find fish. This is one of those prime examples. They are not in every cove yet. They may never be in every cove, and they kind of circulate in that cove too. So there's an on-off switch that goes with this bite. And for the bite itself, stripers are on. I did okay. I didn't catch any stripers. I caught some huge sand bass, but everybody else was catching on conventional. And then you'll have much better luck with conventional too. But you can do it with clousers. And the bait right now is only about that big, but a larger striper eats more infrequently and bigger things, bigger fish. So don't be surprised if you throw a really big fly, sinking line, and you don't get a lot of bites except for those infrequent big bites, because they just eat not as often, like I said, and they eat big. So that's one way to kind of like filter out the smaller fish, is to throw bigger flies. Now, leaving Texoma and North Texas, you got to see my scroll at the end of this. I went ahead and put the scroll on. It's the end of the year, and that scroll is from TPWD. You could get it yourself if you want at the TPWD website. Regular fishing reports, just Google that, Texas Fishing Report, TPWD Fishing Report, and that'll get you there. Otherwise, it'll scroll. You can check out the lake conditions and the Texas Gulf Coast condition. This weather we have right now, this pattern, is really a Texas pattern of weather for winter, which sets up to be really good on the Texas Gulf Coast, because you have the pre-front and the post-front, bluebird days on the post-front, and these overcast days on the pre. And like today is super overcast here in North Texas, and I'm sure that some of that will carry over maybe down to the coast. I'm not too sure actually, but I think it will. Part of what I do, I'm probably going to do a lot more of this here in the next year, is basically drop names and send you to other places, because I don't know everything. I can't do everything. Texas is a big state. If I had one little area to do and could do it to my heart's content, it wouldn't be North Texas, but regardless, it would be much more thorough. So here's what I have to say about that. When you get back to Texas weather and I was listening to the Bite Me podcast, which is what you want to listen to and go to and subscribe to, the Bite Me podcast. And there's a pretty good little debate about barometric pressure. And so what I say to Scott Knoll, Captain Scott Knoll, shoulder injury and all, is that, not that I matter or know everything, is that barometric pressure does matter because it's directly connected to the weather. It's just that simple, man. The weather changes, the barometric pressure changes, and the bite changes. Bite Me podcast, check that out. Very good. There's another guy, speaking of, backtrack a little bit to stripers. This guy, I think is Lone Star fly fisher or something like that. This guy in Canyon Lake is doing some real good catching of huge stripers there. I'll put that in the information in my hello Finn, what are you barking at? I'll put that information down in the description, and maybe I'll dig that up and find that for you. He doesn't have a website that I know of, or doesn't spend much time on that. His big push is on Instagram. So Instagram, increasingly important. I have an Instagram. It is Texas Flycaster. Just like my website, www.texasflycaster.com. So anyway, that's my shout outs to those two guys, and I'll have more details on Canyon in the description. If you're wondering about this spring, I've already got people trying to schedule spring and summer trips. It's too soon to tell when. It's almost like predicting when the bluebonnets are going to bloom on the Texas highways. You can't be done. But the setup we have now in December 31st, I would love this to continue like this for another 2 months and get away without getting frozen like we did in February of 2021. I don't think that's going to happen. I think in February 2022 we are going to get hit again, probably with real winter. Winter is off by about a month and a little bit more now in North Texas. So that's the way that goes. But getting back to the big picture, basically this year was another pandemic year to greater and lesser degree. Had a lot of effect on people. People are, pretty cranky, basically. Not on the water though, because at times the water is crowded. 2020, 2021 let up a little bit because things opened up a bit. People were back at work. Who knows what 2022 is going to be like, but we've had 2 really good years. Well, interesting years of fly fishing in Texas and on the Texas Gulf Coast. This is basically the second coming of fly fishing since the river runs through it, being the first rebirth. So we're in a second rebirth with a lot of young people getting a hold of me and being into fly fishing, wanting to learn more about it. It's a great time to be doing what I'm doing, loving it. So the weather, no matter the cause, it's strange in Texas. Nobody seems to be talking much about the last couple of years of high water levels on the coast, Port O'Connor. I mean, it's kind of wacky. Nobody really talks about the fact that some of the infrastructure is underwater from time to time. Not normal. I can't get anybody to go on the record or with their theory or with whatever facts they think they might have. So that remains a mystery for 2022. We'll see how that turns out. I'm sure we'll go back to Port O'Connor and take a look at it in person. There's a new fly shop, switching gears, coming to Galveston, Texas, probably in 2022. It might take all year to get it there. But I have that on 100% good authority that a fly shop, as rare as they are in Texas, another one's coming to the Texas Gulf Coast in Galveston. Very cool, very cool. Now, the next events that are coming up, related to fishing and fly fishing, we've got the Houston Fishing Show in March. If it doesn't get locked down again, there's also the Fly Fishing Brew Fest, and of all places, Mesquite, Texas. I fail to comprehend what that's all about and why anybody would want to go to that. It doesn't hit me right, and it doesn't hit a lot of people right. The people I talk to, most of them are unimpressed with the whole Brew Fest thing. So I don't know. you know, if you go and you like it, go ahead and call me out and tell me all about it. Call me up, we'll do an interview, come on in, we'll interview you, and you tell me what's so great about it. Well, on a personal note, one of the reasons you haven't seen me as much is because the fishing hadn't been as good. I'm not going to lie to you, I never have and never will. It hadn't been as good as it has in the past, that's one. Number two is, I got a freaking hernia. Man, you know, it's just irritating, and it's starting to be a pain actually. And so, I'm not like most, I don't know why people don't talk about these things, but you know, that is what it is. And so I got to do the surgery thing in 2022. I tried to get in and get it done in 2021. I had this thing going for a year now. And right about the time I tried to get in, we got the Delta variant. So then it shut everything down again, couldn't get in. Anyway, it's a deal, you know. I don't know. It'll be all right. It's just going to take a while to get that done. And in recovery, I'm going to go long on recovery, so I don't have any complications. All I hear about when it comes to hernia surgery is the ones that fail. If you know any techniques or any doctors that won't fail, guaranteed, at the surgery and the actual thing that they put in there, let me know, because I really don't want to try it twice. Part of that leads up to another thing I'm doing on my website, www.texasflycaster.com. It's called Wellness Wednesday. You know, I don't get as much traction on stories that aren't basically fish porn, but I feel the need to, as some of my readers are starting to age. I get a lot more young ones, like I said, but they'll get old too. Hate to tell you that, guys, but you too will get gray hair. So Wellness Wednesday is gonna, you know, I've talked in the past openly about my battle with cancer in 2015, 2016, HPV, throat cancer, and if anybody has any questions on that, or the vaccinations that you can get your kids, let me know. I'll be glad to tell you my opinion on that. And it's my opinion, but I know people and have helped people that have battled and won the throat cancer battle like I had, and then also encouraged many parents of children that are the right age to get the vaccine So I don't know, I guess that's one of my things that I want to make sure that people know about, and you'll know more about whatever goes on with me, obviously. You know, another thing that's made this a busy year is these crazy fly line mats, and I'm going to be pushing them more, and I'll probably be dropping ads in my videos, because this is my main source of income now. This is a 36 incher. This is the big Clint mat. The reason it's called Clint is because, two reasons actually. My friend Clint helped me conceive this, and number two is it's like Clint Eastwood. You know, Clint Eastwood, when he shoots, he never misses. So that's what we do. We strip off on that, and it's so big, biggest one there is, that when we strip line on that on the deck, and it's narrow too. You've seen the pictures. You don't miss it, so it's great. That's a good one. Now, this one is a brand new style that I came out with just about a month ago. This is called the Tickler, and this one has these holes in it. See, this rubber's pretty tough. Has these holes in it for people to like lash it onto the deck of their kayaks or whatever, or just something, you know, do something else with that. I've actually had a concept of having a piece of floating foam on the back with two plugs right here, so you could float it beside you wherever you are, and potentially have a floating line mat right beside you if that's what you want. Of course, tie it through here, whatever. You can do whatever you want with the holes, but they're there permanently, not an option. Base color on these guys now, white. So unless you specify it's going to be white, if you specify a color, it's going to take a few more days. And last but not least, the original rounder. Now this one is a little bit large to go in the bottom of a bucket, you know, and all that. So we're going to come out in probably late spring with a smaller version of this that'll drop down in a 5-gallon bucket, or one of those casting buckets from Carbon Marine or something like that, you know, that it's smaller, less expensive, and does the job. I really want to finish by saying that Appreciate you guys watching all this time. Watch the scroll. You know, there's some things I'm sure I left out because it's the end of the year. You know, it's kind of like a big deal. But I want to say that thank you again, and that we look forward to 2022, what it might bring here in North Texas with the carp that I guide for on Lake Ray Roberts. And I'm hoping, and not promising, because of everything that's going on, to spend a lot more time on salt this year and kind of get that squared away. So I've had guys contact me about salt and taking their boats and skiffs and all that, and I do have a little bit of knowledge on that, and I do have a great bunch of resources for answering questions on setting yourself up and what you need to be safe on the Texas Gulf Coast if you're running a skiff and for the first time. I mean, experience, you can't beat that. But you've got to start somewhere, and definitely if you're taking a boat on the Texas Gulf Coast, you need to know a few things before you go. So ask questions. I'll be glad to try to find the answers or turn you on to links to people who have answers or whatever else. So thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. 2021 was a kind of like this year, you know. It's kind of like this, kind of wavy. And 2022, let's hope it just goes like this all the way through. Be sure you can buy these mats. Better mention where you can buy them. www.texasflycaster.com. They're made by me, they are finished by me, and shipped by me. So this is an American made in Texas product, guys. Gotta have one. Come on now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time real soon, hopefully in January, on the Texas Flycaster YouTube channel. Watch that scroll.